Brooke Logan and Taylor Hayes had made many uneasy truces over the decades. But this one, this pact of silence, was unlike any before. It wasn't about Ridge, or loyalty, or competition. It was about Steffi, about protecting her from a truth so volatile it could destroy her marriage. Her sense of self, her faith in everyone she loved. The truth had started as a rumor, a whisper between Bridget's patient notes and Luna's frantic breakdown in the hospital weeks earlier, something that connected the Forrester family's medical crisis to a string of questionable choices. And eventually, to a chain of emotional betrayals that neither Brooke nor Taylor wanted to see reignited. They both knew Steffi was fragile. Her therapy was working, but barely. She had finally agreed to return to Los Angeles, to face her family and the company again after months of distance. The last thing she needed was another explosion. So they agreed, just this once, to bury it. Brooke promised she would speak to Hope, keep her quiet, make sure the Logan side didn't stir things up. Taylor would handle the Forresters, ensure Ridge and Thomas stayed out of it. They both swore it was only temporary, a pause, a necessary act of mercy. But silence is never neutral in Los Angeles. It festers. It twists. It grows teeth. Steffi returned like a storm. Glamorous. Driven. Determined to reclaim her place at Forrester Creations and her authority over the brand that bore her name. Everyone welcomed her with smiles that didn't reach their eyes. Brooke hugged her first, warm but cautious. Taylor lingered in the background, nervous, too quiet. Ridge said all the right things. How proud he was. How strong she'd become. But there was a weight in his gaze. Something Steffi felt instantly. She brushed it off at first. Jet lag, tension, too many cameras. But it didn't go away. The whispering in corners. The sudden silences when she entered the room. The way Hope looked at her and then looked away. Then there was Luna. Luna's recovery had been miraculous, a medical triumph that Bridget credited to pure willpower. But emotionally, she was changed, haunted, distracted, and, as some whispered, carrying secrets of her own. Bill Spencer's name was never far from her story, nor was the tragedy she had narrowly escaped. When she began working again with the Forresters, Steffi welcomed her, but only half-heartedly. Something about Luna always unsettled her, an invisible thread of tension that stretched tighter with every passing day. The fragile peace between the Forresters and the Logans held for a few weeks. Brooke and Taylor avoided each other's eyes at meetings. Hope and Steffi kept a professional distance. Even Ridge tried to play diplomat. But peace in this family was never meant to last. It cracked during preparations for the Forrester Foundation's gala. A celebration meant to unite both families under one vision. Compassion. Legacy. Renewal. It was supposed to be a public display of harmony. It became the setting for implosion. The night of the event, the Forrester mansion glowed with gold light. Reporters hovered outside the gates. The family gathered. Eric, weakened but proud. Ridge and Brooke together again. Taylor standing just close enough to show support but far enough to keep her distance. Hope and Thomas mingling uneasily. And Steffi, radiant in a silver gown, ready to reclaim her empire. Luna arrived late, quiet, pale, a soft hand brushing her stomach in a subconscious gesture that only Bridget seemed to notice. Brooke's heart clenched when she saw it. She whispered to Taylor, "We can't keep this up." Taylor hissed, "Not tonight. Please, not here." But fate never waits for the perfect timing. A journalist overheard a fragment of conversation between Ridge and Brooke. Something about keeping it from Steffi until she's stronger. Within an hour, speculation was flying across the party. A secret, a cover-up, something to do with Luna. Steffi, noticing the shift in mood, cornered Brooke near the grand staircase. "What's going on?" she demanded. Brooke tried to smile, to deflect, but Steffi pressed harder. "What are you hiding from me?" Taylor stepped in, desperate to defuse the situation. But her hesitation was too long, too obvious. The crowd quieted. Ridge's face paled. Luna froze across the room. Steffi turned slowly toward her, instincts firing. "It's about her, isn't it?" she said, pointing at Luna. "What did you do?" Luna shook her head. "Steffi, please, it's not what you think." "Then tell me what it is," Steffi snapped. "Everyone's whispering like I'm some fragile child who can't handle the truth. If there's something I need to know, say it now." Brooke tried to intervene. "Steffi, please, this isn't the place." "No, Brooke," Steffi hissed. "It's exactly the place. You all love your public performances. Let's do this one with an audience." Ridge's voice cracked. "Steffi, stop." But it was too late. Luna's composure shattered. She blurted it out, trembling, "I was pregnant. And I lost the baby." The room fell dead silent. Steffi's mouth opened, but no sound came. The words hung like smoke. Then Luna added, barely audible, "And Brooke and Taylor knew." They knew everything. They kept it from you. Gasps rippled through the guests. Taylor stepped forward, tears in her eyes. Steffi, please, listen to me, but Steffi was shaking, fury consuming her. You both lied to me. You stood there, preaching about honesty, about family, and all the while, you were protecting her? It wasn't like that, Brooke pleaded. We didn't want to hurt you. You didn't want to deal with me, Steffi shouted. You wanted peace. You wanted silence. You wanted control. You always do. Luna, panicked, reached out. Steffi, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for any of this. Steffi turned on her, eyes wild. You think you're the victim? You've been lying since the day you stepped into this family. You used my father, my brother, my company, everything, for your own survival. Stop, Luna whispered. Please, but Steffi couldn't stop. She had become the storm. She advanced, voice breaking. You don't belong here. You never did. You brought nothing but pain. Luna backed away, cornered near the steps, tears streaming. I never wanted this, then leave, Steffi screamed, shoving Luna hard. It was a blur of motion. Luna's heel caught the edge of the step, her body tipping backward, her hand instinctively clutching her stomach as she fell. The sound echoed, gasps, screams, glass shattering. Bridget was the first to reach her. Call 911, she shouted. Luna was unconscious, bleeding, her pulse faint. Finn pushed through the crowd, dropping to his knees beside her. Luna, stay with me, he pleaded. But as he felt her abdomen, his expression hardened. She's losing the baby, he said softly. She's miscarrying. The chaos that followed blurred into sirens, tears, and fractured silence. Brooke collapsed against Ridge. Taylor sobbed uncontrollably. Steffi stood frozen, staring at her bloodied hands, whispering, I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to. Hours later, at the hospital, Luna's condition stabilized, but the pregnancy could not be saved. Bill arrived, hollow-eyed, barely able to look at anyone. When he saw Steffi, he said nothing, just turned and walked away. The aftermath was catastrophic. The press dubbed it the Forrester Gala tragedy. Every outlet dissected it. Steffi's breakdown, Brooke and Taylor's conspiracy, Luna's fall, the shattered alliance between families. Forrester Creations' stock plummeted. The Logan name was dragged through tabloids. And inside the family, lines were drawn again, deep and irreversible. Ridge blamed himself for not stopping it. Brooke blamed her silence. Taylor blamed her fear. But Steffi blamed everyone, especially herself. The silent pact that began as protection had ended as devastation. Two families, bound by love and rivalry for decades, now stood at war again. The mansion that had hosted generations of celebrations had become a courtroom. A theater of confessions and guilt. In one of the final scenes of the season, Steffi returned alone to the empty ballroom where it had all happened. She walked slowly across the marble floor, now spotless, though she could still see Luna's fall in her mind. She whispered to the air, every secret has a price. And for the first time in years, the queen of Forrester Creations broke down completely, realizing she wasn't fighting rivals anymore. She was fighting the ghosts of every truth her family had buried. The camera panned out through the tall glass doors as she sank to her knees. Her reflection fractured in the polished floor. A woman who had everything, and lost it all to silence. Dr. John Finnegan had always believed in lines. Lines between doctor and patient, between justice and compromise, between right and wrong. His entire life had been built on precision, discipline, and the faith that medicine, real medicine, was about saving lives without bias or interference. But the day he opened the sealed medical audit tied to Luna Nozawa's hospitalization, everything started to unravel, and the deeper he went, the more tangled it became. At the heart of it all wasn't just Luna or the chaos around her, it was his own mother, Drive. Lee Finnegan. It started small, a flagged anomaly in Luna's post-operative file. A medication protocol that didn't match standard procedure. Finn, working late at the hospital, requested the original notes. They were missing. Another request, this time through the private database, revealed a secondary entry, modified, hours after Luna's near-fatal collapse. The name attached to the edit, Drive. Lee Finnegan. Finn stared at the screen in disbelief. This wasn't a simple clerical fix. This was concealment, a cover-up, and it wasn't just one instance. Cross-checking records, Finn found more inconsistencies, treatment alterations, undocumented consults, decisions made behind closed doors during the height of Luna's crisis. Each time, Lee had been in the room. Each time, she had signed off. The confrontation happened the next morning. In a locked staff room away from patients, Finn confronted his mother with the evidence. You altered the records, he said plainly, holding the printouts. You interfered in Luna's care. Why? Lee didn't flinch. Because I had to, she said, eyes cold. Because letting the system handle it would have meant Luna died. Or worse, the press would have gotten to her before the doctors did. You know how this hospital works. You know how the city works. That's not an excuse, Finn shot back. That's not medicine. That's manipulation. Lee straightened. It's survival. She walked past him, unbothered. If you want clean lines and clean outcomes, Finn, then you shouldn't have become a doctor in this town. We're not just saving lives. We're protecting reputations, families, futures. Her words stung more than he wanted to admit. Because it wasn't just about ethics anymore. The more Finn looked into it, the more it spiraled. Luna's treatment had been influenced not just by Lee, but by a chain reaction of decisions. Pressure from Bill Spencer's team to keep her condition under wraps. Bridget's stress from her dual role as friend and physician. Hospital administrators quietly encouraging discretion to avoid bad press. And then, Lee, cleaning up the aftermath, changing records to match a cleaner story. But none of them had the power Lee did. None of them acted so surgically to erase the mess. Finn brought it to the hospital board. His report was clinical, concise, damning. Lee had violated multiple medical codes. She had put herself between a patient and the truth. But when the board convened behind closed doors, the result wasn't what Finn expected. They didn't vote for immediate suspension. They asked him to reconsider. To reframe the narrative. The message was clear, protecting the institution mattered more than justice. Finn left the room stunned. That night, Steffi found him on the balcony of their cliffside home, staring out at the dark water. Silent. She knew that look, knew the storm brewing inside him. You did the right thing, she said quietly. I don't know if it matters, he replied. They're going to sweep it under the rug. Like it never happened. Steffi sat beside him. Then fight it. You fought for patients before. Fight now. He looked at her, tired. This isn't just about medicine anymore. It's about my mother. Steffi didn't hesitate. And it's also about Luna. About what kind of doctors we want around our kids. If Lee did this to Luna, what happens the next time she decides she knows best? The weight of the decision crushed Finn. If he pushed forward with a formal complaint, if he involved the medical board beyond the hospital, Lee could lose her license. She could face charges. Their already fragile family bond would disintegrate. But if he stayed silent, he'd be complicit. Days passed. Tension grew. Lee, sensing the tide turning, made her move. She showed up at Finn's house, unannounced, holding a box of old family photos. She placed them on the table, one by one. Finn as a child. Finn at his med school graduation. Finn holding baby Hayes. You are who you are because of me, she said calmly. I trained you to be the best. And now, because of a few edits on a chart, you're ready to destroy everything we've built? Finn stared at the photos. Unmoved. This isn't about me. Are you? This is about the truth. She leaned in. You think your perfect little world with Steffi and the kids survives if this explodes? You think the Forresters won't be dragged in? Spencer? The hospital? No one wins if this comes out. Least of all you. It wasn't a threat. It was a warning. That same night, Bridget called. Her voice was shaky. There's more, she said. Lee didn't just alter records. She pressured a nurse into deleting a test result. A liver function panel. One that could have changed Luna's treatment earlier. The nurse is ready to talk. But she's scared. The walls were closing in. Finn now stood at a crossroads. File the full report. Escalate it to state-level review boards. And risk tearing his family. And his hospital. Apart. Or bury it. Let Lee retire quietly. Let the press die down. Let life move on. Steffi watched him wrestle with it. She understood. But she also reminded him, our kids are going to grow up in this world. And they need to know that when something's wrong, we speak up. Even if it costs us. The next morning, Finn made his decision. He called the state medical licensing board. He submitted everything. Lee was suspended within 48 hours pending full investigation. The fallout was immediate. She didn't go quietly. At the hearing, she called her son self-righteous, ungrateful, and reckless. She accused him of betraying the very values she instilled in him. Finn didn't flinch. He stood firm. And the Finnegan family fractured. Thanksgiving passed in silence. Hayes asked why Nai wasn't coming over anymore. Steffi tried to explain without bitterness. But the wound was deep. And it wasn't healing. The hospital survived. Barely. The board issued new compliance rules. Bridget returned to focus on research. Luna recovered, slowly, but carried the scars, not just physical but emotional. She no longer trusted the system. She looked at doctors differently now. Even at Finn. You saved me, she said once. But it took too long. And you had to go through hell to do it. Finn nodded. Truth always costs something. By the end of the season, the air in the Forrester household was calmer. But not quiet. Ridge respected Finn more than ever. So did Eric. Even Thomas, in his own way, admired the integrity. But it came at a price. Lee moved out of state. No goodbyes. No letters. Just gone. And in the silence, Finn stood taller. Older. Harder. But unshaken. Because sometimes doing the right thing didn't save the family. Sometimes it saved the world your children would inherit.